right, let's take a look at this one. This one I'm pretty sure you recall and everyone knows, but we might have forgotten how we can actually show it. So how can we show that 1 divided by 3, or 1/3, is equal to 0.3 repeating, right? So this is 3/10, 3/100, 3/1000, etc. Right? So we'll try to do this again by using a decimal grid. So this is the thing to remember, 1 divided by 3. So I'm going to start with the hundredths grid. I think this is the easiest one to work with. So if you're going to do 1 divided by 3, again, this entire grid is the 1. So what we want to do is to make 3 equal parts. And notice that that is hard to do, right? So what we can do that's almost our best is something like this. So I'm going to draw a line here. So we have 3 bars above, another 3 bars, and like this. So this is pretty close to making thirds, right? In other words, we would say this is our first third, this is our second third, and this is our third third. So it's pretty close to 1. The thing that we can't ignore is we still have this, right? So we have to come back to that. But what we can do temporarily is to say 1/3, right? We're going to grab one of these piles, right, and call that 1/3. So each one of these is a tenth. So we're going to take 3 of the tenths and say that's part of the 1/3. And then we're going to come back to this on the bottom. So when we do this, we have to do something like this. I'm going to put these here and say that's part of our answer, right, to 1/3. Those are the 3/10. And so I'm going to write that here so we can see it. All right, so 1/3 is equal to, what we just said is 3/10. But we have more work to do, right? So we're going to come back to that. And so now the part that we have to resolve is this bottom part that we didn't use, right? So what we now have to do is to bring this into the picture. I'm going to put this aside here and say, now how do we take that and break it into 3 parts? You'll notice here you're going to have the exact same problem. You can't make 3 equal parts with this, but you can get really close. So here's the really close part. You draw a line here and a line here and a line here. So this almost makes 3 equal parts. 1, 2, 3. So again, we can take one of these and say that's going to be part of our answer, right, to 1/3. But what we can't forget about is this last square. So to upgrade our answer, we're now going to bring 3 of these squares. Each one of these is a hundredth, right? So this is 3/100. So I'm going to pull this away and say this is also part of our answer, right? And that's 3/100. So I'm going to come back to this and upgrade it. Just like that, right? So this is getting closer to 1/3. Now what we want to do, this is probably the last part of this I'll do, is we have to take this and break that into thirds. So here it is, right? We're going to take that and break it into thirds. This is not going to be fun. So I'm going to replace it with this, right? So this is our thousandths piece. So we're getting really, really tiny now. So you know the answer to this question. Can you break this into thirds? And I'm guessing you're going to say, no, you can't, right? So again, it's very, very close. So I'm going to take, there's 10 of these little pieces. Notice it's very easy to make thirds if you use 3 of them. So this accounts for 9 of the 10 pieces up here. So there's still 1 more of these pieces, right, that we haven't accounted for. But again, here are 3 piles. They're equal in size. So we're going to put this over here and say that's part of 1/3 too. Okay? And then what we would have to do finally is to take one of these very, very tiny pieces and break that into thirds. So hopefully this gives you the sense that this process never terminates, right? It continues. So these little things are thousandths, right? It takes 1,000 of these to actually make the entire decimal grid, and we have 3 of them. So this is going to be my final upgrade. So you're going to add to this 3 thousandths. And usually this is enough where people see the pattern, so this process will continue indefinitely. So when we break up that thousandth into thirds, we're going to get 3 10,000ths. So why does this prove what we sought out to do? This again is the important part. It's the connection between the fractional representation and the decimal representation. So 3 tenths, right? This one right here is going to be that. 3 hundredths, right? All about the place value. And then 3 thousandths. So now if you do the mathematics here, right, you actually add these up, I think you can see it. What you're going to get is this, right? You're going to have a 3 in every single location. In that first location, the second location, the third location, right? So you're going to get exactly this representation. So that's a nice way to show that a seemingly innocent fraction like this actually has a very interesting decimal representation.